Inside a woman's body, invisible chemical messages are constantly giving instructions. Welcome to the Cinematic Explainer, where we're going to explore the elegant and highly coordinated network that drives female physiology. Today, we're looking at the intricate biological architecture that orchestrates growth, reproduction, and overall health in women. Like I just mentioned, these invisible chemical messengers are constantly giving instructions. They're traveling quietly through the bloodstream, slowly but powerfully dictating everything from metabolism to mood, and of course, reproduction. These messengers are hormones. And to really grasp how they work, we need to trace their signals right back to the source. Section 1. The command center, the brain's role in reproduction. To make sense of this massive network, we've got to start at the very top, the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal, or HPG axis. Now, this is a complex physiological network that wakes up during puberty, and it tightly couples hormonal fluctuations to the rest of the body. Think of it like a giant, high-tech communications tower that coordinates literally every single reproductive event across a woman's lifespan. This chain of command works in 3 really distinct steps. First up, the hypothalamus in the brain pulses a hormone called GnRH. This chemical message travels down to the pituitary gland, giving it the green light to release 2 more hormones, FSH, or follicle-stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone. Finally, FSH and LH travel all the way down to the ovaries, the gonads, and command them to get to work producing the primary steroid hormones, estrogen and progesterone. Section 2. The messengers, estrogen and progesterone. Once the ovaries get their orders, they deploy these heavy lifters to basically divide and conquer. Estrogen's main job in the uterus is preparation. Specifically, it builds and thickens the endometrial lining through the proliferation of cells. It's laying the foundation, right? Then, progesterone steps in to finish the job. It matures that thickened lining by stimulating glandular secretions, making it the perfect environment for a fertilized egg. But it also does something absolutely crucial. It prevents the uterus from contracting so it doesn't accidentally reject an egg. So the key takeaway here is that progesterone is highly specialized. It's actually secreted by a temporary endocrine gland called the corpus luteum, which forms in the ovary right after an egg is released. Progesterone produces thick cervical mucus, maintains a potential pregnancy, dials down those earlier signals of LH and FSH from the brain, and it even causes a slight measurable spike in basal body temperature. Section 3. The 28-day mission, the menstrual cycle. These chemical messengers carry out a beautifully coordinated monthly operation known as the menstrual cycle. Now, in averages, about 28 days, though obviously that varies from person to person. Day 1 is marked by menstruation, which is the shedding of the lining. Then we move into the follicular phase, where FSH causes follicles in the ovary to grow and rising estrogen rebuilds that uterine lining. This whole thing hits a major climax right around day 14 with ovulation. Finally, we wrap up with the progesterone-heavy luteal phase, driven by the corpus luteum for the last 14 days of the cycle. Now, I really want to zero in on ovulation itself, because the biology here is just incredible. Ovulation isn't some slow, gradual release. It's a rapid, dramatic cascade. For this to happen, estradiol, which is the most potent form of estrogen, has to exceed 200 picograms per milliliter for about 50 hours. That massive spike tells the brain to increase its GnRH pulse, triggering a sudden, huge surge in luteinizing hormone. And this LH surge literally causes the dominant follicle on the ovary to rupture and release an egg right into the fallopian tube. And here is a fascinating number to keep in mind: 5 days. Because sperm can actually survive for up to 5 days waiting in the fallopian tube for ovulation to happen, a woman's actual fertile window is much longer than just the single day that the egg is released. Section 4. System-wide impact, effects beyond reproduction. It is vital to understand that these hormones don't just stay isolated in the reproductive organs. Estrogen is an absolute powerhouse beyond reproduction. It's a massive protector of skeletal health, assisting in developing long bones, fusing epiphyseal growth plates, and inactivating osteoclasts to prevent osteoporosis. On top of that, it profoundly influences metabolism and mood, and it even stimulates the development and growth of breast tissue. But on the flip side, balancing these hormones is essential for overall health. If progesterone levels drop too low, a woman is left with unopposed high levels of estrogen. And that imbalance, it can trigger wide-ranging systemic issues. We're talking things you might not even associate with reproductive hormones, like a decreased sex drive, unwanted weight gain, or even gallbladder problems. Section 5. The feedback loop.
how the network communicates. So with such powerful chemicals circulating and affecting nearly every system in the whole body, we really have to ask, how does the brain know when to stop or start sending signals? Like, how does the command center prevent the entire system from just going into overdrive? Well, the answer lies in a highly coordinated feedback system where the agents out in the body actually report back to headquarters.
This three-step feedback mechanism is biology at its absolute finest. Throughout most of the month, the estrogen and progesterone released by the ovaries exert what's called negative feedback. They basically travel back up to the brain and say, hey, we have enough hormones down here, slow down your GnRH signals. But right before ovulation, something amazing happens. That massive spike in estrogen we talked about earlier, it actually flips a switch in the brain. It becomes positive feedback, telling the brain to speed up. And that is exactly what triggers the massive LH surge needed to release the egg. But what if that egg isn't fertilized? The system elegantly resets itself. The temporary corpus luteum breaks down, and without it, those high levels of estrogen and progesterone suddenly crash. The brain senses this steep drop in negative feedback and knows it's time to wake up again. Meanwhile, without those hormones to support it, the uterus sheds its lining and the entire 28-day communication loop begins all over again. By understanding this HPG axis, the specific roles of FSH, LH, estrogen, and progesterone, and the incredible feedback loops that govern all of them, we really gain a profound appreciation for female physiology. So the next time you think about human biology, ask yourself, how well are your body's messengers communicating today? Because ultimately, hormones are not just chemicals, they are the body's communication system.